All right, welcome to our next platform discussion in this Higher Ed Digital Community Builders Facebook group. We are talking about Twitch, and I was just remarking to my panelists, who I am so excited to be joined with today, is that not only am I a novice, but I'd probably be below that as a baby admirer and user, because that was, for some reason, I just didn't have the tactile skills of gaming growing up. I would watch my brother play. Twitch is not just about video games, but it is one lens, and we'll get lots of examples of how we're using that in our homes, in higher education, and beyond. My name's Josie Alquist. I kicked this group off last year as we went off campus and into our homes, as we were pressed all into digital spaces to deliver student engagement and community building. And I'm so thrilled where the community has grown and gone to, knowing we are talking specifically about platforms and imagining how we can continue to do this type of work, even if we go back, quote unquote, to normal, how a platform like Twitch should be included in your community building strategies. And I started to recruit for this panel months ago, and I kind of wondered, maybe Twitch users and strategists don't want to be found. But in true fashion, all of a sudden, just a couple weeks ago, I not only found one or two, but four amazing panelists today that you're going to get to meet and learn from in their personal use, as well as integrated both in the work in education and beyond. So I'm going to start asking just the general question. How did you, let us know who you are, how you first started using Twitch, whether in higher ed or in your home, and what's been your go-to stream and or video game during this pandemic. So I'm going to start to what I guess digitally would be my left, which will be Paul. Let's hear from you.
Sure. So I'm Paul. I am a coordinator in Res Life over at Northwest Missouri State University. I've been using Twitch probably since 2015 or earlier. I definitely was a personal user. I've been streaming on the platform since 2017. My video games rotate a lot. I have a group, both friends I've met through real life, as well as friends I've met through Twitch and other avenues, and whatever we've decided to play for that month or 2 months or 3 months is usually where I'm headed. It is a lot of shooters and top-down RPGs and things like that.
We're probably going to need a terminology index or glossary coming up. It's all good.
That's fair.
Paul, it's so great to have you here. Jack.
Hello, everyone. My name's Jack. I'm currently serving as the Esports graduate assistant over at Illinois State University. And for me, Twitch, I can't even remember when I started. It's been years now, and I really use it personally as an entertainment. Probably on the daily, I'm watching a stream, whether it's a pro league or just someone that I like to casually watch. And in my professional role with Campus Rec and Redbird Esports, we use it to stream a lot of our varsity matches in League of Legends, Overwatch, and Rocket League. We often use Twitch to get our message out to our audience, and it's been a really nice tool to do that.
Great. And Devin.
Yes, hi, my name is Devin. I go by The Hot Dish on Twitch. My pronouns are she, her, and I originally got started on Twitch. I made my account in 2015. Because I had first learned about it while watching the North American Championship Series for League of Legends. And I was like, wow, playing video games online and hanging out with people. All right, I'm on board. I started streaming regularly in 2017, but I had intermittently done it a little bit before. And my go-to stream game at the moment is Minecraft, but I also play a variety of other games like role-playing games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect and Skyrim. And I also really love community-based games that bring in the Twitch chat and allow them to be more involved.
Awesome. Again, just like adding up the show notes of all these things they're going to include. I love it.
I need to add on there, Andrew, you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. I also am a part of a live stream Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Love it. All right, Andrew, how about you?
I first discovered Twitch. It was a comment on the Tumblr posts that I had seen, and there was screenshots and GIFs from Twitch there. And I'm like, what is this thing? So I discovered the amazing community of Twitch through another social media platform, and used it to, not play test myself, but see how games are, what the communities are like around each game, if it's a particularly mean community or supportive community for the game itself. But my go-to stream is some music stream. Some of those lo-fi beats are great to sort of put on, see what people are doing in chat on Twitch in there as I'm working through my day. So I would say that's the big go-to one to add to the flavor of the genres of Twitch streams that are out there. It's listen to some background music to help me in my everyday work.
Dig it. And those that are tuning in live or watching the recording, let us know in the comments what have been your go-tos, or even when you discovered it and how you use it today. So as I shared, I am pretty new into the Twitch sphere, but very much a champion and encouraging higher ed to use these platforms in ways that we may not have even thought of. But a lot of you are already starting to do a lot of that work. So if you were to educate me or someone completely brand new to this platform, how would you describe it? Devin.
I was like, are we going to go around the circle? Oh,
yeah.
I like to call it like YouTube or television, only you get to participate and chat with the content creators as they're creating their content.
Yeah, the way that I usually describe it in my elevator pitch is you get to watch people doing things that you like to do and talk to them about those things.
Just like you might watch a sport, sports on TV, or any hobby that you like, you might find someone to watch. Same exact thing. Started as video games, but now it's a bunch of different categories. And I saw a headline the other day that was criticizing, or saying, why would people watch another person play video games? Well, why do we watch anyone do anything? Because it's for entertainment. The same case is here with Twitch.
Yeah, I view Twitch very much as a community building platform for various users. And I think that COVID and the pandemic gave it a giant boost in how it was utilized and how it's been talked about. And I really think we're getting to a place where quote unquote nerd culture is becoming more mainstream. So it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
Jack, to follow up on that thing that you had just said about why would anybody watch, it's what I've talked about, and I had to pitch using it for work to my supervisors. It was like, well, why does anybody watch the slalom or the luge or speed skating in the Winter Olympics? You're not going to go out and get a thing of speed skates, but we love to watch people compete. There's something about competition as humans that just really, really speaks to us at some basic level. And Twitch is a great way to see that competition and experience it viscerally that way.
Well, I know for early users or maybe low-tech folks, going first to an app can be intimidating of what to expect. I know when I first logged on to Clubhouse, I immediately ran out of the app digitally because I thought where I was like loud, and so I thought everyone then could hear me. So when someone was to log on, they've created their username. It's just, it's not like your camera's on, right? Or even that you don't have to participate in the chat. How would the entrance into that platform feel, especially if you're jumping onto, let's say, a stream that's happening live?
It feels a bit chaotic and loud, but I think one of the things is if you're familiar with how threads work, if you're comfortable in the digital environment, it's like you jump into a bathtub. It's like, oh, this is hot. Then you acclimate pretty quickly if you're familiar with how the internet works, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's all about finding your niche space, because every viewer is going to approach Twitch a little bit differently. Some people like the fast-paced, moving conversations of people with thousands of viewers. So there's just like a constant roll of text going up the screen, and they can maneuver that. There are also some who get very overwhelmed in that space. And so they will go to streamers, say, with 10 viewers, where they know they can get a more interpersonal conversation going. They can speak one-on-one with the streamer. They can speak more one-on-one with the other people in the chat. And it becomes like a more small room dinner party versus a concert.
I like that analogy. I like that analogy a lot. That's good. Plus, I think that it can be a no risk avenue because you can lurk, quote unquote, just be in a stream and not talk. Just be there, be watching, be absorbing the content, watching the dialogue. It'd be the same as someone, again, being at a dinner party, but not being the talkative one, just being there, kind of taking in the atmosphere. And that's, I mean, as a streamer, we love lurkers. They're great. We appreciate them as part of our community. So I think it can be a no risk environment.
I'm totally a lurker. That's me. Like, I'm joining a Twitch chat and I'm just watching purely for entertainment. Maybe sometimes I'll make like a emoji in chat or something, but that's totally me. And I think that for me, that's why I like Twitch, is it's not a requirement that you engage. Although if you want it, it's certainly there and fairly easy to do. But I generally like to go and watch it and just purely entertainment. And I think that's what's so great about this digital age that we're living in, is it's quote unquote free. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later, but there are paid options to support content creators. But generally, if you have an internet connection and a mobile device or a computer, you can watch just like you would television. And that, I think, is really one of the unique features of Twitch, is there's not typically that paywall, at least in the traditional sense.
Absolutely. So lurking and learning is welcome. So we've mentioned video games and esports, and we'll get into some higher ed application in a minute. We've heard about concerts and just having some beats in the background, almost like you'd listen to Spotify. What are some other examples that you have seen Twitch being used for? I know there were some comedy clubs out here in LA using Twitch to do some live improv and stand-up. Any other examples as we get people thinking about this platform a little differently?
First one that springs to mind is actually cooking streams. I've seen a lot of success and a lot of awesome cooking streams. I've seen so many cooking streams that have tried to replicate fast food dishes to try to make an imaginary dish that's inside of a video game in real life. And they're very well watched and have done some really creative things. I've seen people with like literally 8 cameras in their kitchen that all have different views. It's pretty incredible.
The thing that opened my mind to how the community of Twitch could work was, it was a few summers ago, and Twitch has, as a platform, they stream programs as well, not just games and things like that. They had a Doctor Who stream where they played, all of the classic Doctor Who, well, many of them over, a period of weeks. They had the marathon during the day. And so I really enjoyed watching that, but it was that chat community of us all seeing the episodes at the same time and comparing notes and really trying not to spoil it for new viewers, and engaging with the community in the chat that way was really, really exciting to introduce this program that's 50 years old to people who may not have ever seen it, and commenting on, oh, that special effect seems so cheesy, and all the little things that you do, enjoying a program together. So it was that broadcast part of Twitch with the chat alongside that really connected that there's something I can do here for work.
I've seen it, podcasts. I've seen that a lot. Some people will move their podcast to Twitch, and oftentimes you can kind of double dip in terms of your content creation. You can stream it on Twitch and then upload to YouTube, for example. NFL, I know they were streaming Thursday Night Football. I tuned in because I don't pay for a TV service, so now I could watch football on Thursdays, and it was a blast. NASCAR also had their iRacing when the pandemic hit. They were streaming on Twitch. I think NBA as well, when they did their bubble summer league and they were playing 2K, I'm pretty sure they were on Twitch as well. So, I mean, and the great thing about watching football, for example, is you were basically there because everyone was chatting it up, like, oh, great pass, or, that was a silly play, and you were literally, it felt like you were there. So to Andrew's point, that immersion and that connectivity, that was really fascinating with Twitch, because normally you're just watching it by yourself on the TV, right? But with Twitch, you can interact with hundreds of people.
Those are all absolutely fantastic points, and I'm really happy that Paul and Jack brought up food and drink as well as podcasts. My husband is a food and drink streamer and also runs a podcast that he live streams on Twitch. So that was perfect. That was a perfect lead-in. I also have really enjoyed, a friend of mine is a Lego streamer. I've also watched streamers do knitting and Minecraft, so they called it Craft and Craft. And she would oscillate between knitting and playing Minecraft. I also really love the art scene and the drawing scene. Cosmoquest is another one of my very favorite places. It's essentially a science and technology education-based platform, which is really awesome. And they will host the launches of ships and talk about everything around them and how they worked. And they will build massive things and raise lots of money for just spreading the word of science and technology on Twitch as well.
I am absolutely loving this. And maybe afterwards, y'all can add some of these into the chat so people can go follow. So y'all are called streamer. You stream, is that?
Or I would say, or content creator probably is
Content
the current buzzword.
Yeah, I use broadcaster because I tried using streamer one time when my internet went out and they thought I was streaming video from Netflix, and they got very confused when I was talking about the more technical side of it.
Awesome. Well, what I'm hearing that especially kind of lights up my community builder heart is having the chat to be so active. You can live stream pretty much every single platform, from Instagram to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. But it feels like within this almost culture of the internet, the activity is almost so built in, or individuals that go there kind of know and want that experience, whether if it is rewatching a cult classic show or a concert or a video series. So, and honestly, for those listening that do, especially student engagement or digital communication work, that's what we're always trying to work so hard to do, is to actually get the interaction going. So this is really, really great to hear that this platform already kind of builds that mechanism in. So let's turn back to the work that we do as individuals in education or a variety of different industries, because I know each of you sound like you have your hands in a couple different buckets, both personally and possibly at work. Or in your work. So let us know how Twitch is currently involved in your role, lessons you've learned, best practices, successes, all those goodnesses. And so I will go roundabout so we can hear from each of you. Jack, let's start with you to hear about your work as a GA in esports.
Yeah, so for us, Twitch really is a tool to broadcast to our audience, whether they're students, faculty members, oftentimes parents as well, to watch their children or peers play video games. At least from Redbird Esports, that's really what it's meant to do. In particular for us, one of the challenges that anyone will face that's working in this space in higher ed is anonymity online. And Twitch comes with that, and with that comes some challenges, specifically when it comes to chat moderation. And Twitch is notorious for having problems with this. They had it when it was founded, and it's, I'll say, plagued the platform. But now Twitch really has some pretty good built-in moderation features, but the one thing it still needs in every stream is a human moderating the chat. The auto mod, or something that will catch specific words, for example, can only go so far, and people are pretty creative at spelling things that they don't want to get caught by the automod. So that's certainly been a challenge, particularly when you talk about free speech. The Army and Twitch have gone back and forth, and it's really just a gray area that, much like esports is operating in, there's no clear answers. So for us, really what we're big about is educating folks on what the impact is of the words and the languages that they use. We really try not to ban folks, but if someone's being hostile and creating a negative environment, for example, that's one thing that we do take pretty seriously, especially when we know parents are watching and other faculty members. So it's riding that edge between building a community and giving students, mostly students, a place to engage with their peers, which is largely what we use the platform for, but also creating a safe space. And the reality is we'll never be able to create a truly safe space, but we can do our best to make it a safer space.
Well, I appreciate you bringing up some potential nuances and challenges of the platform that came up with Discord as well, about the being able to be anonymous, and then some of the moderation necessities. Can you explain, did you say something about Army?
Yeah, so I won't go down a rabbit hole too much, but as I understand it, the Army and Navy both were streaming on Twitch. And there were people in the chat that were typing something that the Army and Navy didn't want to see, so they banned those users. And there was arguments that that was an infringement on their free speech. The other side of that was that they felt that they had the ability to do that, as in Twitch policies and procedures. Creators have the ability to ban folks that they want to, especially if they're creating a hostile environment. And the Army and Navy argued that they were creating a hostile environment based on the language they were using. So I'm not sure what became of it, besides I think they suspended their streaming activities. But that's something, again, that their First Amendment right, we're kind of going back and forth on. And I don't think there was a resolution, at least not a legal one.
Okay, thank you. So not an army within Twitch, but the actual U.S. Army. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I should clarify,
Never
the U.S.
know in
Army.
The internet.
Not the BTS Army.
You don't want to mess with them. Devin, let's hear. I found you completely through Twitter, searching a few terms. You've got some research that you've done based on this platform, as well as a load of experience as a broadcaster, as a streamer. So let us know a bit from your perspective and experiences.
All right. To touch on, I'll start with the research that I conducted for my master's thesis. Despite having my master's in English, I decided to write my master's thesis on integrating Twitch and Discord, or just free platforms, into education, because I know that education pays a lot of money to use the technology that they do. So my thesis was arguing that we could be using these free platforms, and this is how we could use them as supplementary material. Coincidentally, a year later, the pandemic hit. So it ended up becoming quite a bit more relevant than I had thought. But essentially, I was talking about creating digital spaces and really, enhancing and kind of role modeling game-based learning in classrooms, as well, if just by watching Twitch, but also being able to host classes on Twitch and being able to create spaces like that. And inherently, it really boiled down to Discord, which is a rabbit hole that we can save for another time. But yes, so that is what essentially my research was about. I got into Twitch because I loved gaming and I loved hanging out with people. I'm an extrovert. I have a ridiculous amount of social endurance. So it pairs really, really well with streaming. And some of the biggest lessons, I suppose, I've learned and things I've tried to incorporate in my own community. I partnered up with a friend a few years ago, and we founded the 8-Bit Community, which is at roughly 2,300 members at the moment, just on Discord. And it's about advocacy, acceptance, inclusivity, and it also helps streamers on the platform kind of find their feet, because streaming is a really scary thing to start if you are all alone and you don't know what the go live button is, you don't know what kilobytes per second means, and you don't know what a broadcasting software is and whether or not you need one and what is the right. So we have just really focused on creating a space for broadcasters to kind of dip their toes in a safe space where they can ask other streamers for advice if they need it. Because right now on Twitch, it's very difficult and can be very toxic to talk about your stream in other streamers' chats. Mainly due to the fact that some people see it as competition or self-promotion or trying to steal viewership. and it is a whole ordeal. So that's what we've been really, really focusing on, because that was my biggest struggle, is getting started in streaming. I didn't know what to do. I remember the first time I downloaded Twitch on my laptop, I tried to stream from a MacBook Pro I bought in 2011, and I got a program called Soundflower, and I opened up Twitch, and I went to my channel, and I was like, am I streaming now? Like, is this a stream? So we essentially created a community to fill that need and kind of hopefully remedy some of that confusion. And that's just kind of like the surface. That's like the surface level of things we've had to overcome and things I've created on this platform, aside from being like a woman in gaming, which is a whole other ordeal. And also, like Jack was talking about, creating safe spaces, creating places where both streamers and viewers alike feel welcome and safe, and like they can practice their art. Right now, the biggest thing are follow bots, which is where someone pays for a bunch of accounts to follow a channel and spam up their whole chat so nobody can read anything, and also make Twitch look at them suspiciously so they don't achieve things. So that's the biggest issue we're handling right now, is trying to combat that and teach people how to combat that.
Thank you. So excited to see even research on this platform. That's the love language in higher ed sometimes to executives and faculty. So, I mean, even if like each of you were to like write a blog or just share this video is helpful as we continue to advocate for the platform and to talk openly about the challenges, because we have not at all attempted to hide any of those so far with this tool. And I absolutely love how you saw a need just based upon your own discoveries of Twitch, and that would definitely be how I would be entering probably the platform today. And then a community to support each other. That is so amazing. And again, I hope we can list that community in the chat after, so especially folks can go and find that Discord space. Okay, Paul, let's hear what you have been up to. I found you in the SA Gamers Facebook group, which again, not a gamer, but y'all welcomed me with open arms as a supporter of this space. So let us know your experiences.
Sure. So I was a driving force for actually our esports at this institution, helped create it. But the way Twitch came about was part of that driving force. We combined my personal channel with a charity stream for the institution. So we have a pay it forward account. It basically is an account that students can apply for funds and doesn't have a lot of strings attached. So we're able to use that money really however, because it's a charity based account. So we started we brought in some guests. We brought in our chief of police to play Fortnite with us. We then kept bringing the program further and further, and we actually got the president to play with us and hosted it in a physical space. So we all brought our rigs. We've had 6 PC setups, probably a good 20 grand worth of technology brought into our ballroom, and set up a physical space for a Twitch stream, which was a very unique opportunity. But we got our president to play Fortnite, and again, the chief of police and our sports director. We had guests in some of my community, and it was just an amazing experience. Fast forward to COVID hitting, we then started to utilize the Twitch space to bring on guests. So for example, we had the head of our counseling department come play Jackbox with us. So then it is a space where students can come and chat, they can watch what's going on. But if they did have any questions about counseling services or how to handle mental health during the pandemic, we had a professional there to also kind of give some responses within reason. So we were trying to just create a space for students and some programming opportunities when none of our students were on campus anymore.
Well, I love the intersections too of both getting other departments and services involved, but I've also been hearing more about getting these maybe campus quote celebrities from presidents to campus police to other maybe notables. I think that's such another quick takeaway idea. Even if they're not great at the game, I think people are still excited to potentially interact in that space. So thank you, Paul. And Andrew.
a very similar and really strong connection to things that Paul was talking about. Like, I was really curious how to use this amazing community for marketing and communications efforts for the college. How could I use Twitch to show that this was a place to choose to go to school? And so it was bringing a faculty member to stream a game and then talk about, like, I had a biologist and we streamed a resource management game called Singularity, where you had to evolve your, along the way of the game. So talked with the biologist about, is this real? Is this really how evolution works? And then those conversations turned into how he works with his students, how he collaborates on other science with other scientists around the university or at other colleges and universities around the world. And so I really saw the game as the platform to have these conversations about what's it like to go to this school, to attend to learn from this person, and then use some of the Twitch tools of highlighting or some of the clips, and then use those clips to share, to bring people back to the stream to watch the archived streams. Because the live stream is a very, very important part of Twitch, but it also has a really robust archive tools that are built into that. A lot of people just watch those afterwards. So being able to repurpose that content and use it later on is really, really exciting. Like, if that faculty member gets an award, well, here's something when they're talking about that research, a few months ago. So that was really exciting. And then one of the things that I didn't expect was I streamed World of Warcraft with someone from the School of Management and an old-time World of Warcraft player who I managed to dust off his skills to bring it back. And jumping ahead, he's like, I don't want to do that again. It's like heroin. I don't want to do, please don't make me stream WoW again. I don't want to get back into that. But what we discovered during that was how you play some of these MMOs really inform how you learn as a student. Are you an MMO player that likes to tank these things and get out front and really, take all the damage and have people supporting you? Then that might inform how you're going to be as a student in class. You're going to be bold. You're going to be a leader. You're going to pull people together. Do you organize a guild? Are you a support player? Do you like to stay in the back and just heal your team? Then you might be a person who's really quiet in class, and just being able to embrace how you play these games, knowing how you are as a gamer, and then being able to use that as you start your college career means you don't have to be learning those things in class. You already know that stuff about you. I like to do big bursts of damage as a rogue. I can be really quiet in class, and then it's time for me to drop my information bomb into the class discussion, and just know that you're comfortable with that. And how your gaming personality informs your student learning experience was really exciting to sort of talk about and discover how to use these, and then sharing that stuff to be like, come here, we have this environment. And there's the esports team already doing their great work out there. Bringing those two things together is how I really enjoy using the platform for the marketing and communications part of higher ed.
No, I appreciate you, Andrew, bringing in those bombs of intersections of student learning and development, or just human development, right? About, like, we can pull out, it's not just a video game, or what we're actually can learn from ourselves and each other based upon our use of different tools. So a lot of you have also shared intentions and strategies and best practices of Twitch. Knowing it, not just in higher ed, but a lot of organizations, we adopt all the tools because they're free, but without strategy or goals behind them. So especially those we're streaming in right now to higher ed professionals, what would be some of, like, if you're to start a new channel, I think that's what it's called, right? What might you suggest in those early steps to establish right away, both in creating goals, but any other like elements of starting a new platform, to also consider though the macro element of a campus, if where maybe a channel should be situated, or if it's okay if there's multiples. I will shut up because I'm just going to keep asking questions. And Andrew raised his hand.
I'm gonna jump right in because Twitch makes that really, really easy, because there's this path to partnership that Twitch lays out. And there's all these benchmarks along the way to help you set those goals. And Twitch gamifies it. They give you badges and things like that as you go along. Do you have, 24 hours of streaming this week? Do you have a time when 5 people watched you concurrently, 15 people? So Twitch has these things on their website, and it really can help you set those goals. At least I found it very, very helpful for like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And then Twitch gives you rewards, like you can make your own emojis, you can have a branded background and a background Twitch, that channel that displays all that sort of stuff. So that path to partnership I found very helpful for that, Josie.
Awesome. Love some gamification. And in Discord, we talked about for adults, professionals creating some of those spaces for students. Sometimes it was actually better that we let students run those and we are, maybe supporters or guests in those spaces. How do you see that playing out in Discord? Is it the same kind of culture? How would you know if there's already potentially channels out there that you could partner with at a campus?
So, and I imagine Jack may have a similar answer. My esports program is based almost solely off Discord. I mean, that's where we connect any incoming freshman, any prospective student, and anyone on the team. All gets funneled to the Discord to start. As it started as a club and is moving to a varsity in the future, that's where we connect the students. It's run by a student exec board, and I'm probably a more active advisor than some other clubs, but it still is a club at heart. And once we branching into varsity, that will change a bit. But Discord is the platform where we connect all these students. It has been incredible because I have seen prospective students start playing games with current students, which from a retention and recruitment spot, I don't think I can sell that. That's amazing because they're going to come here. They're starting to connect. It's an incredible opportunity. So Discord is where we funnel anyone interested in esports, whether it be students that are even at the institution or just thinking about coming to the institution.
Bingo. Yeah. Discord is the premier platform. That was one of the first things that we talked to our administration was about getting it approved, the licenses and that fun process was we have to be on Discord and then using it to connect to things like Twitch. There is no other option, especially once the pandemic hit. We have to be there. That's where our club started. That's where I started, was using Discord. And now one of the really great things that I'm really happy we're able to do at Illinois State is we have our Redbird Esports, our varsity programmatic side, tied directly with our club side. So our players, both at the varsity level and the club level, are able to interact with each other. And that's a good thing. We want that. Some communities have it where their varsity has a separate community, and then their gaming or intramurals is another part. For me, that just creates more separation and more unknown, where we want to connect those students together. That's really why we're here to begin with, is to create connections and allow students to state their passion and find their way. When I first came to campus, one of the first things I did was find the gaming club, because that was my niche. That's who I was. In Discord and Twitch are tools that allow us to do that. So to your question, considering how you start with deciding to create a Twitch channel, for me it really starts with, should you even create a Twitch channel? Before you even start strategizing it, like other social media platforms, for example, and I'm sure you know this, not everyone should be on every single platform. You could, but most of us don't have the bandwidth to do that and can't really do it in a way that's consistent and promotes the image and branding and feel that you're really going for. So for me, Twitch is a tool, and it's a good tool, but if used properly. So it's super important to actually have a strategy behind it. And in turn, that strategy for us, what that looks like at ISU, is having students run our broadcasting and production. We're there in an advisory role, but we really want to give students hands-on experience, making graphics, transitions, setting up a broadcast schedule and a content schedule. That's one thing that we've been trying to get outlined this year. So in the fall, we can hit the ground running and, okay, Overwatch is on this day, followed by Rocket League. Then we're doing a commercial break, et cetera, and allowing students to practice that and build that themselves is huge and highly rewarding because people are going out and getting careers in this. My supervisor had tested something similar at a previous institution, and he literally had a student get hired due to the experience he had running Twitch streams. Because he knew how to do a broadcast, he knew how to do audio, the whole 9 yards. And he got that from working on Twitch. And that's really where, for higher ed, that's where the value comes in, is allowing students to practice those skills in creating and executing on those broadcasts is huge.
You love to hear it. So, Jack, you mentioned a lot of specific strategies and programming. For the other panelists, have you seen some of, I don't want to call them best practices, but successes and or suggestions, again, for a newer channel for consistency, because that also is a key for lots of platforms, showing up and having a plan. So is that doing something once a week, every day, everything in between the sun? What might be a good starter pack, especially for creating a Twitch channel? Okay. Devin's laughing.
That's all Devin. That's like exactly what Devin does. So I'm curious to hear
what
she said.
All about it.
Okay. A lot of people go into Twitch and they expect that they are going to be able to hit the ground running and be able to do everything correctly and everything is going to perfectly fall into place, which is not the case. Even though it is incredibly important to go into Twitch, and I cannot emphasize enough like how important it is that like having, like Jack, what you were talking about, where going in with a plan and going in with a schedule, that is so important to have. However, how do I put this? It's an ever-growing experience. You are going to fail miserably time and time again. You are going to be put in uncomfortable situations. You are going to be pushed out of your comfort zone, and your comfort levels are just going to be demolished because it's the internet and you are constantly combating the human condition. However, the pros far outweigh the cons. Just going in, yes, having a plan. Do you want to play a game? A lot of people will go in and say, I want to dabble and I want to try things, and which is good. And I would almost recommend having like a fake channel that you practice on, and you like an alternate account that you make, that you practice going live, and you practice running a game, and you practice linking scenes and browser sources and capturing games in Windows and setting up a chat bot and auto mod and setting like all of these things. There's so many layers to streaming. And the number one thing and the most terrifying part is just hitting go live for the first time. So if anything, just the starter pack would be reaching out or becoming a part of a community that you feel safe and comfortable in, and you like what they provide. And then you do your best to start trying to emulate that. So I will go around and I will watch other broadcasters, and I will pick pieces that I really like what they're doing with their styles. And I will approach it with a critical eye, saying, can I apply this? I don't like this. I want to avoid that behavior. And you pick all those pieces together, you parse them up, and then you try to create your brand and your streaming style around that. So after you've done the basics of having the broadcasting software and going live, then you just hit go live and you hope for the best. like that is the most standard way I can say that, because you will not have 10 people in your channel the first day you start streaming. You will not have chatters the first day you start streaming. You might not have a single person visit your stream, because Twitch has millions of people streaming on it all the time. I get a lot of people who want to start streaming Fortnite, and the Fortnite category is so full. You could look at the top streamers of Fortnite, and there are maybe 50 up there. And then after you hit 50, every single person below them has maybe 10 viewers, 3 viewers, 1 viewer, 0 viewers. And so if you think of the millions of people who are streaming Fortnite and only the top 50 to 100 have viewers, so you just need to go into all streaming with the idea that, you know what, it might not be amazing right away, but it is well worth the time and effort, and it is well worth the payout at the end of lifelong relationships. Some people get careers out of it, whether you want to be a full-time broadcaster, or maybe you discover charity streaming and you really love the company Tiltify and you want to get a job with Tiltify. And so you go and you try to work there, or you try to work in other communities in community management, because that's what you discover you love there. So similar to any kind of higher education degree, I think everybody can say, for people who graduated and don't use their degrees in their field, English major, you learn so many things just by participating in that space that you can take away and use somewhere else. So I would say the starter pack, just hit go live and see what happens.
Well, I know in higher ed, we are classically trained to want to pursue perfection, and the internet really doesn't roll that way. So that is important to hear and re-hear as we are all learning in this type of platform, especially. Paul?
Yeah, I echo 100% of what was just said. You will fail. It is part of it. It is a learning and evolving and growing process. Having done some of it from the higher ed perspective, my biggest takeaway is probably focus all your energy into one channel. We had an idea of doing it, and then like every department kind of wanted to run their own thing and also do it. And that's just not, again, it's something crazy, like 92% of streams have 1 viewer or 3 viewers or less. Like my average viewers is pretty low. It's like 12 to 15, but that still puts me in the top 5% of Twitch. Like if you are looking to create this on your campus and you're looking to have a Twitch channel, have one Twitch channel, or have like one for esports and one for digital programming. Like, don't go beyond that. Focus your energy into one place, learn your skills, have someone that's managing and setting everything up, find your tech savvy people, and focus your energy and get the departments to work together to have a programming channel. Don't have a diversity channel and a OSI channel and all the different acronyms. It will not grow nearly as fast as trying to focus all your energy into one place.
If you are interested in developing and exploring the Twitch presence at your place of higher ed, find that esports club and start sharing their events on some of the flagship channels. Direct some audience to them. Highlight the work that they're doing already. No doubt they are doing it. You might not know about it. It might not have any sort of marketing or communications support at all, but they're there. And it's a way that you can start introducing the people that you work with, the communicators in your team, leadership to some of these things, and then work with them to find out some of their metrics, because that's always important. Like, how many people are watching it? What are you doing? Why are we even having this on this hidden part of our campus? But if it's something that you're curious about, but you're not quite sure how to get ready to push that go live button that Devin is like, she hovers her finger over, I can just see it. It's already happening at your campus. Find it, explore it, and really share and signal boost that work that's already happening.
I would almost say, like, start a streaming club. Like, facilitate that, and people will, like, build the space and people will come. Because if there's one thing streamers love to do, it's talk about streaming.
Love that community mindset. Oh, Andrew?
Devin said something a little earlier that I was thinking as we were going through the notes to prepare for the Josie, was she's an extrovert. She's got lots of energy to put out there, and Twitch can have both of those things. If you're an extrovert, stream. If you're an introvert, watch. It has bases both of those inside this community, which are equally strong. So that's one of the things that I love so much about Twitch, is that it's got something for everybody, and you can really find it and flourish there, no matter how you approach your engagement with other people.
Absolutely. So as we think about, sometimes you just got to press go live, and hiccups are going to happen. But we also think about wanting to advance the skill set and to legitimize these skill sets in a role, whether it's formalized in esports or student engagement or digital communications and marketing. Are there any conferences, where could you develop the skill set to run a Twitch channel, or is it really you just got to go play games and do it? Is there anything formal or informal you might suggest for me?
I can poke in. I briefly touched on joining a community that you would love to emulate, and so building up that would be a really good place just to kind of learn strategies and approach every stream with the professional and critical eye. So you can pick up ways that people handle and maneuver certain situations while they're streaming. And also just joining communities that are open to discussing things like streaming and strategies, as well as you can ask about broadcasting softwares, because there are so many. But also YouTube is a really excellent resource. I know Harris Heller is kind of the go-to guy right now. He has so much content out there to help people get started. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So there, I would say definitely YouTube. But there has yet to be a formal style of how to do this, because it is new and it is ever evolving, as Paul kind of touched on. It's ever evolving, it's ever changing. So the way that we research it and essentially do it will always have to change.
Yeah. Devin brought up the same points. Harris Heller, YouTube is definitely where I go to learn more. At the time that I started, it was a wild frontier and it was just make it up as you go. But now we're in a point where there is a ton of YouTube channels that can teach you from beginning stuff to crazy intermittent stuff to just insane technology that you can do while you're streaming for chat interaction, which is really fun. And I think that really it's just hitting the go live button and then learning from the content, and that, especially because I get asked the question, I'm sure Jack does with esports, is where's esports heading? It changes. If you asked me what esports was going to do, Fortnite was at the front of the frontier 3 years ago. Now Fortnite exists. It's doing fine. It's doing well, but it's not the buzzword it was even 3 years ago. And that kind of gaming and internet atmosphere applies to Twitch. So what works today might not work in 6 months. How you get discovered and how you grow is so dynamic, I guess.
I think there's a stigma when we talk to the people really about what Twitch is. Video games themselves still have sort of, for Gen X or maybe older to be ageist or about it. There's always a misunderstanding about why do people even play video games, and it's one of those things where if it's not part of your own life, it takes a lot of sort of understanding about why people even do it. And so there's something to overcome. And as more and more people take on positions of leadership in higher ed that video games is a part of their culture, it will become more and more of a thing where where is this part of our communication strategy? How do we use this for student engagement? How can we use this to highlight some of the student work that's happening in the theater, the music, or the art department, or in the culinary fields? Imagine streaming your cooking classes and then being able to share some of those recipes on a Pinterest board and bring all of that stuff together. So as the digital natives rise through the ranks of leadership, it will become more and more commonplace and accepted to have this one of our channels that we use regularly.
We shall rise. Well, that's a really great transition to my next question is in hierarchies of higher ed, many times some of the most innovative ideas do not come from the top, but especially a platform and practice like this And so you have to communicate and advocate up. So a few suggestions have been already shared, as well as maybe some other channels to check out and feature. But from your experience or your just perspective, what could be some of the key ingredients in order to advocate for creating a Twitch channel to especially leadership that might have some hesitations, no experience on this platform, and also realistic? How long might that take in being able to get maybe that carried about, based just on your experience? Paul, you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I've given this speech many times through making our esports program happen. So I always compare it to League of Legends tournament. I think it was 2019, had just shy of the same viewership as the Super Bowl. I then compare it to Maryville University in St. Louis won the League of Legends championship, I think 2 and 3 years ago. That was in front of millions of high school and college goers. That is free advertising. When it comes down to it, that is free advertising for your institution. So then I always put it in a recruitment factor. I think esports was the big push at the time. That's usually where my speech was coming from for higher ups of why we needed esports and why we needed Twitch and why we need different things. But it's really a recruitment factor for higher ed. We're getting to a point where high schools are having esports teams all around the nation. I live in Missouri, and oddly enough, Missouri is part of Esports Central. I'm not sure how that worked out. I assume it's because we're landlocked everywhere and it's Missouri. But I think it's all about recruitment and retention, and then growing that channel will happen as those programs grow. I mean, my esports channel for the institution has grown as we compete at different tournaments. We get people, and I'm now fielding probably 1 to 2 new incoming freshmen that are interested or heard about it. And honestly, a lot of that recruitment comes from my players. They all have their own personal Twitch, which they practice and stream on. And then they get people coming in like, I saw your title says you play for Northwest. What does that mean? And then they get connected into our Discord, and they usually get connected to me. And I can very much numbers focused. As Josie said, we need research, we need numbers. I can say, I'm recruiting these people, I'm bringing them in. Half of them probably wouldn't even have thought of Northwest otherwise. And I think that's a huge push of why we can make it, because money is important in any field, realistically.
Yeah, so from an esports perspective, if you're not familiar with Boise State's broadcast, you are missing out. They are the golden standard for collegiate esports broadcasting. We're trying very closely to mimic what they do over there, and their school, specifically Boise State, I think is film, and that's what they're known for. So it's not necessarily surprising, but that doesn't take away from the success that they've had. They've developed sponsorships, so if you're thinking about revenue, they have sponsors that will pay to be on their stream. The Army, I want to say U.S. Army, is also one of the sponsors on their stream. So from that standpoint, definitely check out what they're doing over there. Their production value is through the roof. In terms of time, it really just depends. Again, from an esports perspective, if a university wants to all in, you can be up and running in a year. If you want to go a little slower and test out the waters, it can take years, plural. The core of it for me, though, is get your students involved. Hire someone that knows what they're doing to lead the charge, but really build it around your students. It's been incredible to watch, at least at ISU, what happens when they allow students to really get at it and give them a little love. They're going to run with it. Gamers are inherently smart, and when you give them the resources and tools to make something of it, they're going to go for it. And esports is still new enough, it's not too late to get in, to build a program, and a broadcast is one of those elements that, at least from a collegiate esports perspective, if you're not broadcasting your games, you're missing out on some of that free advertising retention, particularly for parents. If you start to look at high schoolers, we just hosted a combine the other day. I think we peaked at 100 viewers, and a lot of that was from parents watching their kids play video games. It's a way for them to connect now, right, with their son or daughter who's playing something that, wait, what is this game? How do you play it? Oh, look, that's me. I mean, I remember I told my mom, I'm Red Fox. That was my username. Go watch me play on stream. And that's a way for us to bond, and we did, and it was great. So I say look for the students, as Andrew had mentioned earlier, look for the students that are already doing it on campus. And there are plenty of benchmarks now, 200 plus institutions in the US that are building esports programs, and nearly all of them have a broadcasting component. Reach out to those institutions and do some benchmarking, and you'll have success.
Well, it feels like we have just skimmed the surface. This probably could have been a half-day institute. Just throwing that out there into the
This
internet.
could have been the first Twitch, conference about how using it for higher ed. It's like if we could just gone all day.
We'll take turns. Who's leading? How about that? Y'all, I appreciate each of you so very much in all the different pockets of the internet that I found you, because that is what makes the internet so magical, even though there might be challenges on different platforms. Real life happens in those digital spaces, and bringing your experiences to life in this conversation today, I think will be so helpful to individuals. So thank you for tuning in live. If you're catching the recording, we have one more panel next week before we take a little break for the summer, as everyone should take, hopefully, some kind of self-care. Maybe that is just streaming or playing video games or whatever that is for you. I highly encourage it. So thank you again for joining us, and we will see you soon.